Happy Front Row Friday, everybody. It's Marilyn Sherman coming to you from Las Vegas. My question for you today is, do you default to kindness and generosity, especially when you're under a little bit of stress? Let me give you an example. Yesterday I had a really bizarre day. I have a client here in Las Vegas who hired me to keynote their large women's conference happening in August. And no, it's not a conference of large women. It's about 800 women that will be attending this leadership conference here in Las Vegas on August 7th and 8th. And they were having trouble with my signature on the contract being electronically sent. So I said, well, hey, I understand that your office isn't too far from my office. Why don't I just drop by and I can sign it in person? They said, fantastic. So I thought it was really nearby. So I was surprised when they sent me the address where I clicked into my maps. It took me 30 miles outside of Las Vegas. And I thought, wow, this is really far. I didn't know that their office was this far from mine. And then I ended up in a residential area. So then I called and I said, by the way, what is the cross street? And they told me, and it was literally 5 minutes from my house. So I don't know why GPS added an extra name to the address, but it did. And it was my fault. I didn't call to confirm by saying, hey, what is that cross street? Because I really thought you were only 5 minutes away, not 30 minutes away. Needless to say, I showed up a little bit frazzled after driving an hour unnecessarily to drop by to sign this contract. But I came bearing gifts. I brought back a box of chocolates from Paris because they knew I was in Paris last week. And I brought a copy of my book for my client and her assistant who has been helping me with this contract. And I just did it as a gesture. I had absolutely no expectation of anything in return. And much to my delight and surprise, after I signed the contract, she looked at the book and said, wow, this is a great book. And we had already talked about me doing a book signing at the event. And she said, well, what would it take to get one of these in the hands of everybody in the audience? And just like that, she purchased 800 of my books. Now, that was a real cool thing to happen. It doesn't happen every day. And I believe it happened because of two things. Number one, I came up with a solution to having a challenge with me signing a contract. I thought, well, I'll just come in person because for some reason, the electronic signature wasn't going through in the internet. And the second thing is I just brought them something. Without thinking about it, I just brought it. I learned that from Phil M. Jones. You know, he gifted me some books and a few other speakers, some books to give to their clients just as a gift if they needed a nice book, which is a great book called Exactly What to Say. So the thought of generosity has been in my mind. And I thought, well, what can I do to just be a little bit more generous? It doesn't have to take a lot. It wasn't a lot for me to bring a box of chocolates and a couple of books. And it turned into a very nice deal that happened yesterday. And more exciting for me is that everybody in that audience, all 800 people, will have a copy of Is There a Hole in Your Bucket List? Hopefully to inspire them to stop talking about their dreams and living their dreams and letting go of all of those things that sabotage our success, like fear and doubt and shame and insecurity. So I'm super excited about this. It was a win-win opportunity, but it happened as a result of a small moment of kindness and generosity, which could have been real different if I allowed that frustration, especially with gas prices these days and driving an hour unnecessarily in the middle of the day in Las Vegas. It could have gone south, and I'm glad it didn't. So on this Front Row Friday, I invite you to default to generosity and kindness, not for any expectation of anything in return, but just think, if you do spread a little bit more generosity, a little bit more kindness, you never know, something massive might come back to you. Have an amazing Front Row Friday, everybody, and I'll see you soon.